Tracking the pulse of the road and the future of flight. From viral trends to policy shifts, we cut through the traffic to bring you the stories that drive us. Your fast-track guide to everything on the move starts right now. From the Billionaire News Channel studio to Mellow 947 BFM, your playlist made better. I'm Paolo del Rosario. This is Shift Happens. We start off the show with the latest in mobility. For the first time in 6 weeks, car drivers did not need to line up at gasoline stations on Monday evening as oil companies implemented price rollback on petroleum products. Today, diesel prices have gone down by 2 digits, giving back the price increase implemented last week. Price decrease range for diesel engines for 20.89 pesos to 23 pesos per liter. For gasoline products, prices are cut down between 4.43 to 6.50 pesos per liter and 8.5 to 11.5 pesos per liter for kerosene. President Bongbong Marcos Jr. yesterday announced the removal of excise tax on LPG and kerosene products to provide relief to Filipino families amid the energy emergency brought by the conflict in the Middle East. However, for diesel and gasoline, Malacanang has yet to reach a decision. For value-added tax or VAT, the palace said that the powers to suspend the fuel tax is with Congress, as the emergency powers granted to the president did not include the fuel tax. The president explained that the VAT gain from petroleum products will be used to fund other programs that help cushion the impact of the oil crisis.
I think it's time to explain. Here's the thing with the VAT, especially the VAT on petroleum products. The VAT on petroleum products, we are going to get a windfall profit from that because tumaas yung presyo ng crudo. And because of that, all the importations will have, at the present VAT rate, we will get funds from extra funds from that. So with the additional funding that we will get from the VAT collections, yun ang gagamitin ngayon natin to provide. That fund will not exist if we remove the VAT on petroleum products alone. So that's the reasoning behind.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. said that the government will still explore possible options that benefit the government, the consumer, and other stakeholders. Now, following the excise tax removal on LPG and kerosene products, members of the Senate have asked Malacanang for the exclusion of diesel and gasoline. We have Hannah T. with the support.
Senator Amy Marcos slams the announcement of her brother, President Bongbong Marcos, on the suspension of excise taxes, saying it falls short because diesel was not included, despite being the main fuel being used by drivers, farmers, and fisher folk. She questioned why the government is taking a paisa-isa or piecemeal approach and urges authorities to include crude-based fuels immediately instead of delaying relief. Marcos also warned that high fuel prices are already hurting the agriculture sector, with farmers and fisher folk struggling to operate while government continues to rely on imports instead of supporting local production. On Monday afternoon, PBBM announced that he was suspending excise taxes of LPG and kerosene. Removal of excise tax would be equivalent to a reduction of 3.36 pesos per kilo for LPG and 5.60 pesos per liter of kerosene. But pump prices of diesel remain at above 100 pesos per liter, despite a big-time price rollback today reaching nearly 21 pesos per liter. Senator Marcos cited new global developments, including warnings of a possible blockade in the Strait of Hormuz, which could push oil prices even higher and undermine any local price cuts. Meanwhile, Senate President Tito Soto defended the initial move, saying the suspension of taxes on LPG and kerosene is still a significant and valuable step to help Filipino households. But for Senator Loren Legarda, the response remains not enough and too slow, as she called for the immediate suspension of taxes on both diesel and gasoline. Legarda said cutting these taxes could directly lower prices by around 19 to 22 pesos per liter, which could provide immediate relief incentive to transport, agriculture, and small businesses. She also pushed back against relying purely on ayuda, warning that the government aid takes time to roll out while tax cuts can be felt right away at the pump.
Hannah Tia, Billionario News Channel.
Transport groups will once again stage a 3-day protest beginning tomorrow, April 15, as fuel prices remain high. Manibela will lead the protest nationwide, while other groups signified their intent to join the transport strike. The group said they renewed their call to the government to remove the VAT on oil products as well as repeal the oil deregulation law. Now today, the government starts the implementation of a 10 peso per liter fuel subsidy for public utility vehicles to ease the burden of high fuel prices. The following gas stations will lead the pilot implementation starting here in Metro Manila. Over in Fairview, Quezon City, Union Oil and Petron gas stations along Commonwealth Avenue will implement the program. In Santa Cruz, Quezon City, Shell gas station along Quezon Avenue westbound will have the program. In La Loma, Quezon City, Sea Oil along Bonifacio Street, corner Scout Alcaraz will carry the fuel subsidy. Over in Santolan, Pasig City, Shell along Marcos Highway is part of the program. In De La Paz, Pasig City, Chevron along Don Mariano Marcos Highway is part of the pilot program. Over in Sampaloc, Manila, Metro Oil along España Boulevard. In Alabang, Muntinlupa, Phoenix Petroleum, and in Longos, Malabon, Petron along C4 Road is also part of the fuel subsidy implementation. Now, staying in Muntinlupa City, the streets will be joined by electric vehicles driven by law enforcement officers. On Monday, Mayor Rufy Biazon led the turnover of 8 electric vehicles over to the Muntinlupa City Police. In a social media post, he said the procurement for these units began even before the conflict in the Middle East began. Biazon said that the move of giving police officers electric vehicles is part of the city's program to have sustainable operations. Each patrol unit is equipped with Battenberg markings to promote police visibility, top light blinker systems, and a public address system. Charging stations were also installed at the police headquarters to ensure smoother deployment of patrol units. Now we're going to take a quick break, but stay with us. We'll be back in a moment with a very special guest. You don't want to miss this. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Shift Happens. Now, before we continue, we now take a look at another developing story in the country's mobility landscape. Now, the Philippines could soon build more electric vehicles locally as car makers move closer to setting up production here. Our mobility correspondent, Gie Barroga, has the story.
A watershed moment. That's how the Trade Department describes the Philippine automotive industry today, even as the country grapples with a fuel crisis. Big development is a locally assembled hybrid car coming soon, and Mitsubishi may not be the only player for long.
Isang seryoso na kausap natin. Siyempre, ang mga titingin dyan, yung mga already who are here, kasi makikita nila o magkakaroon ng advantage over us ang Mitsubishi. And this is also a call to the importers na nandito. Remember, yung pag-zero namin ng taripa, pag-zero ng gobyerno ng taripa, it's not forever.
BNC Mobility reached out to Toyota, and in a statement, the company says local car manufacturing plays a big role in driving the economy. Toyota adds that producing more vehicles locally helps bring costs down and keep prices competitive. That's why flexibility matters, whether it's the type of vehicle or the kind of engine. The Trade Department says the government first focused on boosting EV demand by offering incentives.
Pinapasok natin yung mga brands dito, zero tariff, but that is just an intermediate step. The ultimate goal really is to build enough market in the Philippines, enough demand to justify putting up assembly facilities and more value added in the country.
And at the 21st Manila International Auto Show, or MIAS, that shift is hard to miss. New energy vehicles are front and center, along with sustainable transport solutions, EV infrastructure, and the innovations in commercial mobility.
When you look at the new technology, you should think at how does this adapt to my day-to-day lives how does it adapt to your business, and you will see what the future is all about when it comes to mobility. It impacts society.
Ferreira says the current fuel crisis diversified where people get their power from, and his advice to people panic buying cars: look at safety and base it on NCAP, or New Car Assessment Program. Over at BYD Pavilion, Managing Director Bob Palanca leads the introduction of new battery electric vehicles in their lineup, the Atto 2 SUV and Sea Lion 7 Performance SUV. Meanwhile, Kia Philippines officially launched the EV5, which was first previewed at last year's Philippine Electric Vehicle Summit. Both car brands are under AC Mobility of the Billionario Zobel de Ayala family, which also supports the whole EV ecosystem. CEO Jaime Alfonso says their charging network across the country is now at 160, with 50 more currently in development. On the other side of the MIAS venue, Billionario Romel Sitin's motoring empire, United Asia Automotive Group, covered the whole alley with its bike, Chery, Photon, Link & Co. and Radar vehicles. Jetour also showcased its Gaia brand with the G700 PHEV. The aftermarket scene is also present at this year's MIAS. For BNC Mobility, Gie Barroga.
Thank you so much, Gie. Now, today we are joined by someone special who will help us tackle what's really happening inside the Manila International Auto Show, or MIAS. Now, year after year, this event brings together car enthusiasts, industry players, and everyday consumers into one space. But over the years, some observers say the event has shifted from being a platform for showcasing cutting-edge vehicles. It is now seen by many as more of a sales-driven event with heavy promotions, brand activations, and even displays that go beyond just the cars. So what really has changed in MIAS this year? To help us break this down, we're joined by, sorry guys, I promised someone special. We did. I guess she is, right? Gie Barroga,
Yes.
BNC Mobility Correspondent.
I am. I hope you're happy I'm with you today. Woo! Wow, meron akong fans.
Sure. Okay.
You're not happy. I asked.
We're happy you're here, Gie. We are all happy you're here. But let's start off first with MIAS in general, because again, this is one of the most anticipated events in the automotive scene, and there were questions first off with the appetite for this, considering may fuel crisis nga tayo dito. Interestingly enough, there were records broken this year.
Yes. Actually, Pao, to give you a brief background, I've been covering auto shows, MIAS, PIMS, the Philippine International Motor Show, since as far as I remember. I graduated 2016.
Ah, you did?
Pretty much.
So you're
yes,
10
I
years old.
graduated.
Yeah.
No, that's half of my life.
Sure.
So I'm just 20 now. So,
Sige.
yeah, so through the years, MIAS, PIMS, and all these auto shows, it has always been a place for auto brands, for car brands to showcase the models that they have currently in the local market. If not to showcase, it's also a place for them a venue to launch or to introduce upcoming models before they actually become available to the local market. And this year, nothing has changed. It's no different. So meron pa ring launches, meron pa ring showcases of different models, and promotions, perks that are exclusive to the event, discounts, and all of that. Test drive of vehicles before customers actually buy the car or make their reservations. It happens during MIAS and PIMS. But very noticeably, it's really hard to miss the legacy brands na wala during this year's MIAS. But for me kasi, in the years that I've covered these events, it did not come as a surprise because this year also, PIMS is coming up, the Philippine International Motor Show. And for those who do not know, PIMS is under CAMPI, or the Chamber of Automotive Manufacturers of the Philippines, which most of these legacy brands are a member. Yeah. And I would be surprised if sa PIMS wala sila.
Wala sila. So it's okay na wala sila sa sa MIAS, but then sa PIMS, do you expect them to be there?
Yes, yes, of course, being members of MIAS. And also, Pao, prior to the event, there was parang concerns kasi with people. Kasi baka hindi pumunta yung mga tao because of the current fuel crisis.
Yeah.
The event venue is south of Metro Manila.
Yes.
So, World Trade Center and the Philippine Trade Training Center. So, baka hindi daw siya puntahan. But surprisingly, even organizers are surprised that they actually broke the record from 170,000 foot traffic last year. Naging 180,600 plus. So, it's very evident that wala yung legacy car brands, but I would say that of the more than 20 brands na nandun sa MIAS this year, most of them are Chinese brands. So, parang at the beginning kasi, we all know that merong mga negative connotations na kapag, made in China, hindi siya durable, hindi siya maayos, hindi siya okay.
But that doesn't seem like the case this time around.
Yes. And for me, as an observation, it's also parang a proof that shift happens, Pao. It's not just about Japanese vehicles or vehicles coming from Japan anymore. So there is a clamor, there is traction with Chinese-made vehicles. And pretty much, for example, BYD, it has become the #3 brand in the Philippines last year. And many people are checking in on this brand, even others like those of the UAGI with Photon, Chery, Lincoln Co., and Bike.
It's really interesting when you look at the makeup of all of these vehicles at the moment, because right now, the legacy brands aren't there. Majority are EV. And at the same time, the criticism still there na mas nagiging sales event ito eh. But has the technology aspect of the show taken a back seat compared to it being a push for more sales instead?
Actually, it's, I think, a balance of both. So there is a showcase of the latest technology, latest cars, but also a place for the brands also to have their customers experience the models. And yung MIAS, it has always been like that. Even in countries, different countries na merong auto shows like that in Japan, in Bangkok, in Shanghai. It's just that the concern right now is yung some of the motoring media are saying na hindi na siya naging media friendly.
Okay.
Because of the challenge in coverage.
Yeah.
And what's good about, the organizers of MIAS, they were saying na, okay, it's time. After the event, it's time to pause and listen and then move forward with how we can improve the auto show, one of the biggest in the country, next year and in the years to come.
So may expectation that hindi na mauulit yung criticisms from an organizational standpoint, from the media point of view.
Yes.
Tama? Okay. So one of the things I wanted to bring up here is that the fact of the matter is a majority of the displays were for EV. Majority of the showcases were for EVs, electrified vehicles, hybrids, and whatnot. But when we look at ICE vehicles, did they still have a place? Were they still being given the attention? Or is there a clear and distinct siguro aversion away from it, and maybe that's where we can see yung impact ng fuel crisis natin?
Well, in the main hall, it's really all about the new energy vehicles, the electrified vehicles. But when you roam around kasi, hindi lang siya the new brands. There are competitions like classic car competitions.
Yeah.
There are car restoration vehicles na showcase ng iba't ibang tuning companies or tuning businesses here in the Philippines. And one thing that was so excited to see was the owner-type jeepney.
Okay.
Kasi di ba parang when I was younger, we're not of the same age.
Hindi nga.
Well, of the same bracket siguro.
Sure.
But yeah, when I was younger kasi, di ba, yung owner-type jeepneys, parang yan yung classic talaga in my generation. And parang more of people my age, not your age.
Iklaro mo muna kung anong vehicle to, then we'll let people decide. Okay,
Owner-type
go.
jeepneys.
Yeah.
Owner-type jeepneys kasi, di ba parang when I was younger, doon ka talaga mag-aaral mag-drive.
Yes.
So manual. So parang when I saw that during the show, oh wow, there's still classic cars, there's still owner-type jeepneys these days.
Okay.
Na pinapreserve ng mga car enthusiasts that we have in the country.
So it feels like ICE, we talk about it being a more premium brand, or at least a premium aspect of yung motoring life. especially when you consider that the cost right now is a lot more. Do you see that the positioning for ICEs have become siguro a bit more elevated compared to before, considering mas mura ngayon and mas practical yung EV for many people?
Well, right now, there is really a big demand with electric vehicles.
Yeah.
And even so, from a car manufacturer, car brand point of view, of course, they will push for more electrified vehicles.
Yes.
And in that case, there is also support from the government. So parang it goes hand in hand na, okay, there's demand in here, we need to support this. So it has become parang a group effort to push for electrified vehicles, especially that we have the crisis right now.
Yeah.
And a lot of people really are checking on electrified vehicles, asking about, like, when I was there, I would overhear people, yung mga kinakausap nila na mga sales agent in the event, they would really ask, oh, ano, it's not about the torque anymore or how powerful the car is. It's about EV ba to, hybrid ba to, what technologies does it have?
Yeah.
And because range is still an issue for many of the motorists in the Philippines.
Yeah.
So, apart from knowing what the vehicles can offer, they would also ask about the range.
When we look at the concerns of these potential EV customers, range is always an issue. The charging infrastructure is an issue. In your store that you showed a while ago, that the AC Mobility in particular is trying to expand yung charging network nila. Apart from the vehicles themselves, obviously charging network was a big topic, especially for AC Mobility. Pero what are the other things that were featured in the auto show that really got the attention of those present?
Well, since it's a public event, the first day, public and media launch kasi siya. So a lot of people also went after the artistas and the celebrities who were there.
Pati ikaw?
No.
Okay.
I was chasing the newsmakers.
Okay,
I'm
sige.
sorry, Pao.
Okay, go. All right,
sorry
sure.
to disappoint you.
Go ahead, okay? So,
Yeah.
all right, what else?
Well, and then, aside from that, of course, sa car industry kasi, it's not just about the cars.
Yes.
We have the aftermarket. So, if you want a new wheels, new rigs, it's also the place for that. And also, Automobile Association Philippines was there. So if you need something about safety, road safety, safety in cars, there's like a booth there for AAP.
In your conversations with people with after sales, did you feel that there was siguro na apektado yung business nila by this fuel crisis, or is it still business as usual for them in particular, considering that and everything automotive has been impacted by this fuel crisis?
Yeah. I talked to someone and ang observation kasi nila, yung mga Pinoy, they really love cars.
Okay.
So
Gastos pa rin.
Well, for them.
Well, investment pa rin. Okay, this is investment instead.
Kasi parang if it's in you, if it's your passion kasi, parang you would always find a way.
Okay.
For them, we will find a way. So parang even if there is crisis, we will always find a way para, okay, I need this. I need to do something for me to be able to, get this or, get this done.
Okay, we're running out of time in just a bit, but then what I want to do here is to talk about siguro yung mga myths that were busted in your coverage, because there were concerns going into this particular MIAS. There was a concern about the foot traffic. Pupunta ba yung mga tao? Would it be insensitive? And that did not prove to be the case. What are the other key learnings that you feel that the industry took away from this experience, considering it happened in the middle of a fuel crisis, which famously you need fuel to operate cars? So what was the biggest takeaways for you?
Yeah, with the electrified vehicles on the front and center of this year's MIAS, hindi na masyadong issue yung fuel when you use electrified vehicles. I also wanted to point out that foot traffic was heaviest during the first day based on our observation, since it was a holiday. That was April 9, the day of Valor. So parang since there were concerns prior with the foot traffic, since first day was a holiday, nawala yun. And then with electrified vehicles coming in, I think there is a push to further improve the industry with the help not just of the industry stakeholders, but with the government as well.
And of course, the government being there, I'm sure more dialogue was had.
Yeah.
We saw your package a while ago, and has a feedback from the stakeholders in terms of yung collaboration nila with the government been positive, or is it still left wanting siguro sana mas aggressive pa sila when it comes yung EV?
Well, with the government at the forefront as well, merong parang there is an agreement between the private companies and also the government to work together.
Okay.
Well, we have one brand that's actually coming in to do the country's first hybrid car, and
Yeah.
there are talks to have more car manufacturers to do that as well.
Well, we saw a while ago the mention that there are no tariffs for EVs. We also saw the encouragement and the incentives for actually producing hybrids here in the country. So whether or not it will impact us sooner rather than later, I think is going to be the big question there. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Gie Barroga, our special guest today. She's special because she helped put up the show in the first place. She named it Shift Happens, and she got mad at me when I got the name wrong in the first few episodes. And that'll conclude our roundup of the stories driving the industry forward. I'm Paolo del Rosario. Join us again tomorrow on Shift Happens, your fast track guide to everything on the move.